Ladies and gentlemen, on today's episode of the Rush Hour podcast, Driving with Dave, it's Katherine Blanford. How are you?
So good. Thanks for getting my name right.
Cheers to you.
Cheers. Thanks for my SB.
You know,
I don't know if you're sponsored.
No, I should be. I would take, and by the way, anybody could sponsor me. I will Monster energy drinks, Rockstar, whatever people have.
You have to be careful to say that. I had a podcast one time, and I got a sponsor. We were like won't be sponsored by anything. Can I say what it was? It's kind of dirty.
Sure.
It was, how do I say this? It was what do they call it? It was like a stick you would put up a woman's cavern.
Oh, we're going there. Sure.
I told you.
Okay, her cavern.
Her cavern after intercourse to clean it out.
Oh, like a douche.
But it wasn't a douche. It was like
it's like a selfie
gel.
stick douche.
Yeah. But they were like, every episode we want you to like organically get into it, and then every sales pitch, it wasn't like a host read ad.
Yeah.
It was like, we want you to like explain a new kind of avenue of why you enjoy it or you like it. And so for like 40 episodes, we had to think of a new creative way.
Oh. Yeah, and it's always like agreed upon. It's like, all right, do it for 60 seconds, and then they give you 17 minutes worth of things to be like, and maybe just consider this, and it's like, consider paying me more.
Right.
That's why I love Bill Burr. He's like, look, I'm gonna do Sherry's Berries, and the people that don't know marketing fire him, and the people that knew it enjoy that he shits on their product because he's so funny about it.
It's so funny, yeah, and it's like the people that are selling it or whatever, you're like, you still hear those people selling MailChimp, and you're like, Mark Maron doesn't use MailChimp.
Yeah.
He's just got money to advertise your product, whatever. We all get it. We know you're not actually using it.
Yeah, I'm Joe Rogan putting together a Squarespace.
Right. No, you're not. Jamie's not doing that.
Well, you know who my new sponsor is, and I won't say it here because they didn't pay me for this episode, but it's a company that's anti-aging lotion. And I'm like, I guess this is what you get when you're 39 and a half.
That's great.
Like, you start to get anti-aging stuff.
That's
and
fantastic.
I'm like, that's just the realities of the world. Like, no one wants to hear what a 22-year-old thinks about skincare,
No.
They want to see, like, a battle-tested person that did a bunch of tanning booths in college.
Right, yeah.
Did you do tanning booths in college?
I did them in high school.
Okay,
and I did...
Ahead of the time here.
Did I do... Actually, I probably did them in college. No, I remember there was like, in college there was a apartment, like college, like apartment complex.
Sure, yeah.
It was horrible and run down. It was probably like the worst
bed
one.
Or the stand-up ones?
They had a bed though. They had
the ass sweat.
Yes, tanning bed. So everybody wanted to live there, even though it was the worst conditions.
But
mold.
How good did it feel coming out of the tanning bed? It feels good. They do something.
This generation doesn't know. No. How therapeutic it is. Walking out and your skin being a little fried.
And I don't know about you, I was like lower middle class, so when they said it's a 20-minute tanning bed, only do 8 minutes, I go, give me 14 and a half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're feeling good and you're like, I'm going to stretch it a little bit, and then you can't sit down for a few days.
So burnt. Like when and remember the little crease in your butt because you'd be laying down and that little fold of skin wasn't exposed. Yeah. And then you'd like stand up.
I'd get it like under my boobs. I'd get like a boob, like if I don't have if I'm not like sitting in the right,
I never had enough tits.
Yeah, I do. My son tried to breastfeed on me recently, and I was like, I'm going keto. I have to go keto.
No way.
He flicked my nipple, like, let's see what
it's a nipple.
He was kicking tires, flipped it, and then he was like, and I was like, whoa, and my wife was like, and I was like, I'm too big. I gained the dad weight. And I need to have a flatter chest, or my son's gonna he's gonna be confused.
Were you like?
I let him go. I was like,
do you want to see?
I was like, go.
You did? You let him go?
I didn't let him go. Like, he didn't latch, but he was just messing around, and I was like, go for it. Like, whatever. I'm not weird. I'm not gay. Go for it. But like, you have to, and it's like that's like a baby's need for survival. It's just flicking nipples. And heard
sucking nipples. It's so wild.
I learned this from the show Walking Dead, that you can nurse somebody else's baby. A female can nurse someone else's baby, and it sometimes will turn on your milk making abilities.
Huh?
Did you know that? Yeah, I don't mean to be creepy, but like if you found a kid somewhere that was like a baby, you could possibly turn it on for him. Maybe not like right away. Yes, it's insane. You don't have to believe me.
It's gonna be a guy.
Well, it's a women
baby.
thing.
A guy baby.
Well, the gender of the baby doesn't matter. I'm saying you as a female can turn on your breast making ability. I hate to breast.
If I am right now, as a virgin mother, meaning I haven't had a baby, but I have had sex.
Yeah, I think it's like a post-pubescent thing.
So if I found a stray baby,
and a stray baby shows up and it's like, we need to feed this. I'm not saying it will always work or that'll work day one, but the baby's saliva communicates through the nipple and changes the makeup of the formula. So if somebody coughs in the room, my wife's breast milk will provide antibodies for the baby.
No way.
I'm telling you, I've just got your whole new hour of stand-up.
Wow, that is so cool.
It's insane. Anyway, enough about that.
No, I'm so obsessed with that. I'm so obsessed with sometimes.
You'll have to Google it, because I saw it in Walking Dead, the TV show, and there's like the lady, she was older, and like she like latches the kid onto her because the kid had lost his parents. And I'm like, no, I'm Googling this. And I was like, oh yeah, you can, it'll turn on. It's all,
wow.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden my boobs start like growing bigger.
I don't know.
Because I'm around a bunch of stray babies.
If you're feeding them, I don't know about growing. I mean, I guess that would be a part of it. I see.
That does seem like a redneck woman's
breast augmentation.
Yeah.
You're from Kentucky. My wife's from Kentucky.
Yeah.
I love people from Kentucky. I want to get into this, but I want to preface. I was watching Jerry Springer documentary last night, and have you heard of the thing called the Springer Triangle?
No one's ever been like, oh, you're from Kentucky, and then reference something from...
So, Jerry Springer, there's a triangle that involves all of Kentucky. It's like the Bermuda Triangle, but for rednecks. And it's from Chicago through Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio. And like 95% of the people that go on the show are from that area. I had never heard that before. Am I blowing your mind today?
No way. Wait, from Illinois, from Chicago, you said?
Yeah. It's Illinois. I'll put the graphic up here. But I guess that's where they get all their people, because he filmed in Chicago.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and he was a mayor of Cincinnati, so he's from that area. And
who's the mayor of Cincinnati?
Jerry Springer.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
He was not the mayor of Cincinnati.
Are you telling me or asking me?
I'm doing it in like a...
He was.
I'm doing it in like a...
He was in politics before becoming Jerry Springer. Yeah. Anyway, this is a Jerry Springer podcast. But you're from a part of the country.
I know that, but no, it makes sense. It's like people... I always thought Jerry Springer, like, I've always wanted a scripted show about the inception of a show, a Jerry Springer, Maury Povich show.
Well, they were normal shows.
That's what I've always
Maury
assumed.
Povich is married to Connie Chung.
Yeah,
it was like the nighttime. They were just normal shows, and then Jerry Springer's producers like, what if we fight a little bit on camera? And then they just went nuts, and the ratings went through the roof.
Yeah, it's like you're a normal pastor or a preacher, and you're having a hard time people following you, and then you're like, what if I tell people that we should be bit by snakes?
Yeah.
Or that all the women should have sex with me. And then you realize you start to get a cult following.
Burn some Harry Potter books, right?
Yeah,
you start getting rid of some shit, and then you're like, all right, we're getting some... You know how it is as a comedian. You're like, and all of a sudden one day you get a spike, and you're like, what caused that spike? We need to throw some, throw some gasoline on this.
Yeah, and you lean into it.
You gotta lean into it.
And I don't even think, like... I've always wondered, like, most people on that, even if some of it wasn't scripted, like... People are like, this is my chance to be on TV, and they soup it up, even subconsciously.
Soup it up,
right?
Yeah. Now, speaking of souping it up, this is where I want to get into your act. Mm-hmm. I saw you on Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. I go, brilliant, and I'm going to tell you what I liked about it.
Okay.
I liked that you weren't a traditional setup punch comedian that generally does well on there. You threw away so many jokes that I don't think the audience got to before you were on to the next one. Yeah. So, and I was talking to my wife about this. I was like, she had 14 lines that they didn't even get a chance to get to, and she just went to the next one. But you didn't do it in a way that felt rushed. It was very... I think you're like the next generation's... You know what I was going to say is like you're like Matt Rife, but I was going to call you Matt Wife. Now that's so you're Matt Wife. You're the new young comic.
I'm Matt Rife with a lisp.
Yeah,
Matt Wife.
That's it. Without the jaw surgery. And all that.
I need it.
So what was it like? As you're going on Jimmy Fallon? What's the anxiety like? What's the right before the curtains open? Are you just like? Still adjusting, because sometimes they'll change your act around, or you'll pull jokes from different bits. Like, was that a
So I've been on twice now. The first time I went on, I was still a comic in Atlanta, and he had me. How do I say this? I got it. It was the stars kind of aligned how I got on. It was like I just signed with a manager, and he was at the Tonight Show with another client, and was with the booker, and got a call that another episode that was coming up that his other client on Joe Coy was going to be a couch guest on, and he was like the musician, the band or whatever had to drop out because of COVID. So there was like the performance segment piece. There was an opening.
So they like needed you quickly.
Yeah. So I had, when he texted me and was like, get a set together, I the next day like submitted a set, and then he emailed me that night and was like, here's my notes on the set, retape it. That was a Saturday night. I went on stage, I retaped it. Sunday, I got a few more notes. Went back on stage Sunday, retaped it, and then Monday was at my nannying job, and he was like, here's what standard practices and procedures. Their lawyers flagged. And so I had to like rewrite something as I was nannying.
Were there specific words that they flagged?
I had my very ending bit of my first time on the Tonight Show, I referenced like being kidnapped as adults, and it was a whole callback to the joke, and they were like, we can't do kidnapped on NBC.
Oh,
and so I had to rewrite it. It wasn't even that funny. But I literally had to get, you know what I mean? It was like minutes. Like
Thesaurus.com.
Right.
Like, what's kidnapping?
Yeah, and I rewrote it, and it got approved, and then I was taping a week later, so I ran around town and did as many sets as I possibly could, trying to rewrite it, and every time I'd rewrite it, I'd have to submit it and get it approved again.
And I'm sure, did you have any sets that, like, you know, they're going sideways because you're doing it fresh, you know, like, was there any, like, doubt, or?
Oh my god, yeah, because first of all, you're doing a TV set, so like you can't do any like especially when like you're working it, like I'm in Atlanta just trying to get on every stage or whatever else. You can't be in the moment and riff or whatever else because you're trying to get muscle memory.
You can't riff, you can't, your timing's so important.
Right, you're trying to like learn, you're trying to be like, what is word economy wise? How do I sell this bit with as little fat as I possibly can have on it, right?
Yeah.
So you're being really precise with it, but you're going up on a showcase where people are like messing with the crowd, you know, and being really loose and being like having fun with their sets, and then you come out and you're like, here's my TV set, I'm very rigid, da-da-da, and so a lot of times you're like kind of bombing with your set.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt it.
Because you're like not as loose and
they're like different tricks that you can use. Like you said. Now you had on your second set, the one where you did the Kentucky Derby bit, so funny. You actually did probably the most crowd work you would ever do in that situation, which is acknowledge. I assume the band.
Yeah,
if somebody laughed at something and you just gave them a moment. I'm like, that's so like it felt way more conversational than a lot of stand-up late night sets feel, because you know it's a lot of like, let me present to you the setup and the punch and then the 3 tags and we'll move on. So I don't know, I just like I remember seeing that, and then when I saw you were going to be in town here, I was like, oh, I gotta get you on the show.
Thank you.
You know,
it's a lot of just running the bit or the set so much that it's muscle memory, and then you know it, and you know it, so you can kind of just be in the moment and knowing even if you forget the line, your mouth is gonna say it.
Right. Yeah. So like, what's the day like when you're about to do Fallon? You know, like it's not Carson. It's not like make or break at this stage, but it's like it's amazing when you do well. Everyone talks about it. All your comedy friends know. Like it's a huge. Like, was that the biggest validation point you had for family? Doing that?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first time around for sure. Like, cause it was that time it was out of the blue. It almost was like. Because I was still in Atlanta, I didn't have any other TV credits. I still had a day job.
So people were like, "Damn, Katherine."
Right? They were like, "What?"
Yeah, because people don't know. It's like you do well on stage, but all of a sudden, that's like really, that's like welcome to any festival you want to do.
Right, for sure. And that one was I was really nervous for that one because there is doing sets on stage and then doing it in front of cameras, in front of a TV audience. You can't practice that. It's an experience you only know doing it in the moment.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of nerves the first time. The second time was so fun. It was like, oh, I've been here. I've done a few TV things since. I've been in front of cameras, and it was like it felt like you were like a senior in high school.
You know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, what can like sell something, or how do you sell yourself as an entertainer? And it comes down to they call it competence and likability. So having a combination of those is like undeniable, and you're so likable on stage. And the competence is obviously you've done it for years, so it really just like lines up. How much of your stage persona is you actually feeling happy and in the mood versus like, are you actively saying, all right, don't be bitch face up there, let's how much of that is something is contrived versus that's just your natural?
You know what? I actually can't fake it. I'm actually really bad at faking it. So I genuinely do love being on stage. I enjoy it a lot. When I'm in a bad mood, or if I am not enjoying the audience or whatever else, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I also like make a comment about it, and I learn how to have fun in the misery, kind of.
Well, that's like I think that's the best way to be on stage, is be like loose and limber and everything. But you know, like we've all seen the comedians who, you know, they've done this bit 4,000 times and they're still like laughing at it, and you know they're laughing because that's just where they laugh in the bit, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, am I not trying this hard enough, or can I not take myself seriously enough to do that? But again, everyone's different, and some people, like I used to work with somebody who they could be like literally miserable, and they really wore off stage, and then they'd get on stage and they were like, oh, he's the most likable guy, and I'm like, I think he's doing some neuro-linguistic programming versus like your sets were like, no, she just looks like the friend you want at the bachelorette party.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I think I see it as like, I do love being on stage. I think I genuinely, every time I'm on stage, I still am like, I can't believe that I'm doing this, and that you're laughing at it. Right. So I think it's always just like, I feel like I'm tricking everybody because I almost don't believe it. I'm actually able to do it. At
what point did you think, oh, I should try this? And what was life like before you did comedy?
I did a thing in college. I was in a sorority, and
Which
we
one?
had to Chi-O, baby.
All right, yeah, no, Chi-O. We had Chi-O. I was a Lambda Chi.
Okay, where'd you go?
Rhode Island. So smaller. We had like 10 fraternity, 10 sorority. Chi-O had a couple fun nicknames, though.
I imagine you, in Rhode Island, you had class on a boat.
No, this is actually the University of Rhode Island's an agriculture school, or was.
Really?
So it's where they make the sod. So it's like inland, but all the homes were in like these gorgeous homes, like near where Taylor Swift bought her home and all that, like on the water.
Okay.
But it would be the off season, so it would look like this, like snowy. So in the summer, you couldn't afford to live there because that's where they would rent them out high end. But in the winter, they'd like swap the furniture out and give these college kids a place to go, like fuck around.
Here's 8 futons.
Yeah, and then you would just put stain things, and then your friend would put a hole in the wall, so you'd like try to move a frame to cover the hole, but then there's a hole behind that frame, and it's like no one gets their security deposit back. Like they treat you like shit, and I was like, yeah, no, very well, they should. This is how they should treat us. But yeah, so standard Greek life. Greek life's a great place to find some humor, right? Doing fun shit.
Yeah, for sure, and to like figure out. Like what kind of person you are. Are you like the leadership person? Are you the party animal?
So were you like social chair, or did you have any?
No, absolutely not. I was like by the end they were like, listen, we know you're not going to pay dues, but we don't want to kick you out. Just don't tell anyone.
Oh, so you were like, okay, yeah, you were kind of like you had a bit about getting into the club. You were like the hot girl who like you had enough good vibes that they were able to
right. I was the sly one that they were like, we want to have you around, but we know you're not gonna play by the rules.
So you got like a little wink with the class treasurer.
Yes, very much.
Oh, that's funny. So this is the first time like Becky's finding out. She's like, God damn it.
Right. I'm like, all right, I'll come around, but I don't want to pay for brunch. And everyone's like, come on, we'll all throw in and pay for your brunch.
But then you have to like be on because you're like, I gotta earn my spot here. I'm on scholarship.
Yeah, I'm clocking in.
You were on Greek life scholarship at that point. That's.
I was they entered me into they picked me as to represent my sorority in like a fraternity for charity that fraternity put on a talent show.
Right.
And each sorority had a competitor. Mm-hmm. So I was her, and so I did a monologue as Chelsea Handler when she had her show, Chelsea Lately.
And this is your first step into comedy?
I think I like did it, and then I was like, I think I did stand-up comedy, which I did.
Yeah.
It was like a monologue.
So
that I wrote.
you were cited. Oh, you wrote it just as her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't do like a monologue of hers. Like I wrote it, but I was like in character as her.
Did you crush?
So yeah, I won. It was so fun, and so I had it in the back of my head ever since then that I wanted to try it again. So I was in Atlanta with a job. Every job I think when you get out of college you don't like because you have a job for the first time. And
but you're coming from not even having to pay your dues and the sorority to a job.
Just being like a little sly rascal that gets in everywhere on vibes.
That's how.
To all of a sudden like having to be responsible and show up for a job.
And comedy in and of itself is the ultimate cheat. It's a lot of work, but it's the cheat. It's like you're willing to do some shady shit to get there.
Yeah, for sure.
Or live shadily,
Live shady is the funny thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do, like now, even now I'm like I'm still doing shows I did a show in Syracuse at the Funny Bone, and it's in a mall, it's on the 4th story, and you have to walk by a Margaritaville and like a paint gun place in an escape room, and then you walk and then you go into your club, and I'm like, this is my job now. My friends are accountants and they have 3 kids now, and this is my job.
And once you get over that base thing, you need that base nut, none of it matters. None of it matters. You quickly if people don't really understand this, it doesn't matter past a certain very low level to have that authenticity. I personally think I really think my calling is to try to get adults to just live more like kids. I really mean this. I was raised Catholic, and you couldn't be funny. The one time I tried to be funny, I had a relative go, "You're being just like your cousin Casey." And I was like, "But I want to be like Casey." I was like,
nobody liked Casey?
No, he was a goofball. And so she was telling me, "Oh, you're not being like you." And she slapped me back into my, conformed, sorry, I'll never laugh again type of vibe. And I'm like, as an adult, I just want to go on stage and dance.
Yeah.
It sounds so stupid. You were raised Catholic, did you have any of that suppression, or were you always kind of goofy?
Well, no. I was raised Catholic, but it was I keep describing it as not in a religious way, but in
it's
kind of cultural. Yeah. And both my parents came from big families. My dad's one of 10. And so it was always kind of, you're in a room with a bunch of people, so you're competing for the attention.
Yeah.
And so it was always who has the biggest personality right now? Who's going to get the thing that everybody's going to laugh at? So it was training grounds, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. My mom was one of 8, but I also she was just kind of pretty depressed growing up and single mom.
Yeah?
So my inner house dynamic was not good.
Really?
And I think that I got a lot of humor from that, but it was I had to kind of get out on my own to express it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyhow, I've been following. I don't know if you have. You can see from my history here. I've been listening to all of your albums. Where are they?
Oh.
Hold on. I just see Shaggy.
My God.
They're in there. Where's my recent? Yeah, my library. I just want to prove it. Where the fuck? I was literally. Hold on. Where?
I don't even have. I mean, what do I have?
You had 2. I got to the. Anyway, I got your recent stuff, but I also went into the Parents Are Cousins, which I wanted to bring up. Mm-hmm. How much of that's true? And we're not talking first, are we?
No, okay. They were. It's a bit that I went on 23andMe, and where it stemmed was I was excited to get my 23andMe because I thought I was like I don't know, I was like I might have a little extra sauce in there.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, there's no way I'm just plain white. And I got it back and I was the most white.
Yeah. Didn't you think you were Native American like everyone else did?
I didn't think Native American. I was just there's got to be some kind of, I don't even know what it was, but I was I've got some plump lips.
I was gonna say you got more Scandinavian white. I don't know if that's.
I would even want that. I'd even take Scandinavian.
You just got, it was just standard Western European.
It was British.
Yeah.
French. German, Irish, which mad respect to all, but I'm God, those are just.
But that's core.
The most
basic immigrant.
White bread you can get, and I was so disappointed. And
but
I think I always in the back of my head, I never wanted to be basic. Basic, I think, is the most is the biggest insult you can give.
Well, can I give you? I'm going to give you a compliment and an insult.
Okay.
But I hope you take it good.
Okay. Well.
You would be basic in a sort of let's all put our headshots in a pile in Los Angeles, just like I would be basic. Like there's nothing. I'm not even saying looking. Just like you're right. You're not like Adrian Brody. Like I'm not Adrian Brody. I don't have like some. If you wanted to describe me, you wouldn't have some crazy thing. Yeah. And I don't think you do either. With that said, you're top 1% best looking comedians that have ever existed. And by the way, I mean this with all due respect, because outside of comedy, I feel like I've already insulted you. That wasn't.
No, I love that. I'll take that.
No, because in Hollywood, I told my wife this. I was like, you have every like reason to be a very, very big thing, because you know what I mean. Like some people, it's like, all right, yeah, they're cute and kind of funny. It's like, no, you're gonna be whatever you want to be, and then some. Like
Thank you.
You're doing. I'm excited. I'm always just excited when I see people that I'm like, oh yeah, so they're just crushing it on stage. And sometimes I don't think the audience is caught up to that, because audience is like it's so fickle. What's the difference between like having a good set in front of a bunch of strangers versus like I've got a million fans trying to line up, and you can't make shows quick enough. Like it's so fickle what goes from one to the next, and it's like sort of like a mainstream co-op that kind of just happened to Nikki Glaser. Right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking of her when I was thinking about you, because I interviewed her over 10 years ago, and she had done the Tonight Show, and she was like kind of like famous in the comedy world. But then it was like a lot of things that kind of took off and then didn't, and then all of a sudden it's like megasphere for her.
I know. I'm so excited. I love her so much. It's. I feel like I watch her. I even told her this when she was working on her monologue all around LA. I was like, you're like our gladiator.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool to watch you, and I'm so excited for you, and I know she works so hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know the work she puts into it that I don't think people probably recognize, but will never understand.
And she got the Golden Globes because she put a lot of work into the Tom Brady roast, which didn't matter. She could have mailed it in, like Bert Kreischer. I mean, they kind of, like, went on stage and fucked around. But, like, she destroyed it. And it's like, all right, you're lined up. She'll be the Golden Globes host for as many years in a row as she wants.
It's so cool, and it's like fun to watch because she's so good at joke delivery and writing, and she has her own unique style, and it is fun to watch somebody finally pop off.
Yeah.
And it not be like she's had a very long career before, so it's almost like, okay, if you don't pop off immediately, it's okay.
Yeah, like she's not. There's no faking. There's no because sometimes in Hollywood things will be given to certain actors because they're right place, right time,
right,
and then they kind of go away. Or like if you're the young hot thing, like they'll rewrite for the next young hot thing. And by the way, I already feel terrible because I did not frame right what I was trying to say about you. I really feel bad.
No, I don't.
What I was trying to say is this: you're stronger, funnier, and sexier than what Hollywood would assign for if they were having a casting. Do you know what I mean? Like you can live in your are better off with your authentic word on stage than anything. Like if you had to just do Hollywood the standard way where you show up and say like I've done improv before.
Yeah, if I had to play their game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, I'll take it. I'll take any.
I'm already gonna go home and be like, that's a dick thing. No, that's not what I meant.
I'll take a compliment. I understand what you're saying, and it's cathartic to know that I'm like, even if I play Hollywood's game and I don't get the winning role because another white blonde girl gets it, I know that my hard work and my own talent, I can still swim in the deep end by that on my own accord.
Yeah, like, so I was in LA for 10 years, and my leaving LA is not political. It's not, I failed. We just wanted to buy a home. We had a baby on the way.
Yeah.
And like, it was the worst time in the history of the world to buy a home. Not just the prices, but the interest rate. I mean, it's insane. But I was like, we got to get so I'm looking at where I am now as like, maybe we stay, maybe we don't. But it's like, this is our little chance to do something a little bit different. Yeah. And I've gotten more stage time, more paid gigs, and more anything being here. But I still love it there. It's just like, it's not what it used to be, which was like, you have to be waiting by the phone every day. Mm-hmm. Like, and especially as comedians, you get to write your own destiny. And like, so what was let me ask you this, what was bigger for your career? Doing a Don't Tell set, which is like a, indie, well-produced stand-up comedy, or Jimmy Fallon? Which one do you think sells more tickets?
Oh, Don't Tell, for sure.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Like, hands down. Like, I still use a clip from there when I'm like, trying to promote a show, and it's like you said, you can write your own destiny. I mean, I took that Don't Tell set when they were taping them before Don't Tell had really popped off, and thought I put effort into my set and thought about it, and I taped it, and I walked away, and I was like, okay, that was cool, that was nice.
Yeah, you're doing it in some barn or wherever the hell you're doing it.
Yeah,
it's like not that big of a deal.
Right. I didn't think anything. All I wanted to do was do well on the show, and so that the other comics, thought respected me.
Yeah.
I didn't even think it was gonna be some career changing thing. I just wanted to meet new comics and do well.
Do you think it was career changing?
Yeah, it exploded. That's why I got the Tonight Show. It's because of my Don't Tell set.
What a great concept, though, for people that you just never know what the next thing is. It's not always going to be a high-paying thing, or I always tell my wife this. I'm going to do some weird-ass show, but you just don't know. I did some show in front of 9 people the other day, and some big-name musician was there, and I was and I had a great set, and it's I can't use that tape, but I'm validated with this guy, and who knows where that connection is.
Right.
It's just one little validation after another.
Oh, so many times it's happened. In LA or something like that. You're going up and you don't even, you're this is just a Wednesday night or whatever else. And you're just working on your set, and then you're leaving, and someone's like, hey, by the way, you were great, I'm so-and-so, and then they DM you or something afterwards, and then all of a sudden 2 years later you're I'm in this big project because of that one little set I didn't think anything of.
Which sadly for acting, your audition stays in the room. It's so sad how many great actors never make it out of the audition room, and it's it just stays there versus stand up, you put it online, and sometimes I had this old healthcare thing I was kind of dicking around with, and it was getting laughs, but it wasn't, and then I just started doing it after the Luigi stuff, and it all ties together.
Oh, so it's awesome.
You don't necessarily need to know the architect of the web you're making, but I can tell this with your material that you must write a lot, because you have so many quips and asides in your bits that I would say some of your bits could have easily just been a tweet, and they're much longer. And I'm is that a strategy that you color so much the characters in your bits? You'll mention someone, then have a joke about where they're from, what they do. Is that a strategy, or is that just the way your brain works?
It's the way my brain works. I remember when I was coming up in Atlanta, and I just heard some vet comics in Atlanta just say, "Wring the rag." Take a bit and wring that rag until there's no more drops out of it. And so I always say I write an accordion. I have an idea, and then I'll write till it's so expanded, and I can think of it from different perspectives, have you ever driven draw a bubble and then you draw little spider webs and other little bubbles that, you have little different ideas, and then so you try all of those and you see which ones stick from all the little things, and then you fine tune those, so you kind of
and sometimes some grand,
back in.
a grand idea you might have might just be some little thing that turns into something you didn't even know you had, but it's just it leads you down these paths. That's so cool. Now, do you have any dark? Do you go dark at all? Because you mentioned that you're kind of clean, but I don't see you as clean or dirty or anything. But where are you at with what you're working on?
No, I think I do go dark, which is funny. I think I do kind of have a little bit of a dark mind. When I first started comedy, the bits that actually started working well is my mom passed away, and I started talking about when I started kind of finding my voice is when I got honest about having trouble figuring out what to put her in for her casket for the viewing, because I was if it was a cute outfit, I wanted to keep it.
Yeah, right.
I was I'm not throwing away a cute dress, right?
Great.
Yeah, I'm I can get more wears out of it than she can. And so there was kind of the first bit that started working, and it was dark. And I think I still go dark sometimes because I enjoy it, and I enjoy being honest.
Yes.
I really I don't like saying something just because I know people are going to enjoy it. I say something just because I think it's honest, and I think people enjoy sometimes things that aren't easy to hear, but it's honest, and in their insides they go, God, I feel like that too. Or I get that.
And in today's world, some people just want to hear people say shit that's slightly taboo or whatever, because we all think it. We all think crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even know something you're thinking is crazy. What Did the Kentucky Derby bit happen? And at what point were you like, yeah, that's definitely going to be a bit? Because it's a kind of a crusher.
Thank you. It was my friend.
Okay.
I was in college in South Carolina. It was freshman year, and she was from Charlotte, never been to Kentucky, so it was Derby. So we drove up from Derby, and we did the porta potty racing, and I forgot to tell her that it's illegal, and you're supposed to like get down as soon as you make it to the end.
Oh, like get into the crowd.
Right. And because I remember I went before her and I made it to the end and I could see the police.
Oh, you went?
Crowd. Yeah, we both did it.
And the bit you did on Jimmy Fallon, I think on your latest album, right? And it's basically running. It kind of feels like a Mario Kart. Or
yeah.
Mario, you're like running on top of a string of porta potties.
Yeah, right.
That's it. And you're just trying not to fall through.
Right. Yeah. And people legitimately will throw beer bottles at you and like other stuff at you to knock you down. Like you're
How often is this happening? Does it like break out like a streaker at a baseball game, or is it like, all right, it's the next hour, we've got so and so?
Oh, when it happened, it was happening all the time throughout the whole course of Derby. Like there was just people that you'd get hoisted up there and they'd run across and they'd cheer for you, and then you get down and you hide in the.
And you have a
crowd.
line full of people that you have a commanded attention of all these people waiting to use the bathroom.
Oh yeah, and people just in the crowd that want to knock a pretty girl off a porta potty too.
So they're throwing okay, so I didn't understand that part of the sport. They're like duck.
Yeah,
they're going
like
after
you're a
your
carnival
knees.
game.
Yeah,
you're a giant human-sized carnival
God
game.
Damn.
But they since then. It's actually the year after, so she got arrested.
And do you feel? I mean, you must be like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to make eye contact.
Welcome to Kentucky.
You like take the rest of her drink.
Yeah, right.
You're not gonna need this.
I had to leave that bar that night to go pick her up at the precinct. But since then, I remember the next year they put awnings over the porta potties, and then they put spikes on top of the porta potties.
Oh, like they do for birds.
Yes.
They did the bird spikes.
Yes, to keep human beings with bird brains
treat you like pigeons
off the porta potties.
Oh my gosh, that's what I feel. If like you go through New York or LA, they'll have like the subway, like the park benches, and they'll have like little like brass spikes going around them. I'm like,
so
dang.
what? So you can.
So homeless people can't lay down. And I'm like, I get it. Like it's the same idea that of having the spikes for the birds. It's like, this is a nuisance to us.
Yeah.
Move along.
Right.
And now they have it for the porta potties. I'm going to see those one day and go, oh, Katherine, you've really helped with change here.
Catherine would have run across those.
You need a porta potty sponsor. That's what you need.
I know.
Or
it
like
would be
one
fun.
Of those whiz
it's a
on
fun
the go
game.
Yeah.
I could host porta potty racing games.
So you're here. And you're here in Zanies, and then you just did Chattanooga. You're gonna be in a few weeks in Louisville. Is that how you pronounce it? Louisville. And
we're getting there.
You fucking Kentuckians, you destroyed Versailles. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's near you, but like Versailles, France is like
Versailles.
Right. I don't. Yeah. Okay.
It's Versailles.
Wow. Sure. I tell my wife that when she tells me these weird words. I'm like, all right. Not where I come from, but okay.
Yeah, we're going to Versailles, and we're going to go get a barbecue sandwich.
Okay.
For breakfast in Versailles.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's the big
What's
thing.
the
is
problem?
Barbecue there. They're not known for. Are they known for barbecue?
In Kentucky?
That's just what they have.
Yeah.
So like, Tasha's from northern Kentucky, so they have like the Skyline chili.
Oh yeah,
which will just blow out your asshole.
Right, which is just diarrhea on top of noodles.
Unbelievable. Unreal. And they're not really known for much, but Louisville, like, is that when you go home to perform stand-up? I mean, that's got to be like having an extra gear, right? Because you got all the hometown reference. And,
it's so
like,
fun.
Just culture. But you started Atlanta. So what is like Kentucky? What does Louisville mean for you, comedy-wise?
I mean, it's funny. It's like it's where I get all my inspiration. It's just you're kind of like Southern, but also Midwest. It's very like traditional people. Sorry, now I'm getting...
No worries.
You ever start coughing and then you go, don't cough again?
Yeah, you're done.
And so your brain goes, well, now I'm going to keep telling you have to cough after that.
Yeah. Don't think about it.
Okay. But it's like very traditional Midwest people with passive aggressiveness and politeness, but they all have demons inside of themselves that they're trying to hide.
Lots of demons, yeah.
And it's a fun kind of like people to like make fun of.
Yeah.
So it's fun to go back and make fun of. Then I get to make like regional references and they don't get it.
Do they look at you like now that you're in Hollywood, you're on TV, you're doing all these things? Do they look at you like, are you a bigger star? Because when I go back home, in the Midwest, like people can't believe my pesticide guy who does my house is like, you got a podcast studio in your house? I'm like, oh, in LA, this is hack. Like,
yeah, this is everybody. It's like having a bathroom.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah, sometimes they do, and then sometimes, all my high school friends are like, that's just Katherine. Like, it's just. They're also like. It's a lot of people that are. They don't want to. They live like such a. Their worlds are their worlds. Does this make sense to you? Like, their bubble. Sometimes they're like Louisville's. Their bubble is Louisville. So, like, they don't really see the world outside of Louisville.
Totally.
So nothing gets bigger than the big things that are in Louisville.
Like, that's it.
So when you come back, you're not, what the big thing that is in Hollywood happened. You're like, how big are you in reference to the things that have happened in Louisville?
Yeah.
And you're not that big in Louisville.
Yeah, there's always a local guy that's like known more.
Yeah.
The local DJ or whatever.
For sure.
And people get really mad when I talk about this, but it ties into corporate culture and the dead endness. Like, I come from Aquidneck Island, where Newport, Rhode Island is. There's 3 bridges to get off the island, but those bridges psychologically keep a lot of people on the island.
Yeah.
And the metaphor is that the corporate world keeps a lot of people basically exchanging money for whatever their dreams were. And by that I mean, it's like you're saying, I will work for you towards whatever shareholder or CEO or upper management dream you have, and I will take that money and go fuck around and do my thing. And I just think we're living in a time where there's kind of an epiphany happening, where people realize, dude, I've done this corporate thing for X amount of years. Like, this sucks. I'd rather just, do something like you're doing. You had sort of the wherewithal to figure that out early on. What a blessing.
Oh, yeah.
And you were literally a nanny, you said, when you got Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't write it better than that.
I mean, I think there was like 8-ish years there for sure where I was like, what am I doing? What if this doesn't pan out? It was very embarrassing for a good 3 or 4 years where I was like taking around another woman's kids, to around Atlanta, and was afraid I would run into a friend who was starting to have kids themselves. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be so embarrassing. Like,
babysitting. What am I doing?
I'm an old babysitter,
and only truly only you know what you're capable of. So you're just eating those moments. Right. And because I was doing Uber driving and things like that, which is essentially all I'm doing now. Just like, you're not paying me, or I'm not paying you either way to give me a 5-star review. But it's like only like that this serves a purpose, right? And the purpose is getting me on stage tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And like that this is the means to a better end. But I'm like, I'd rather sacrifice it now than sacrifice my sanity every day for like what a quote unquote what I should be doing. Yeah. Which like the cardboard success.
I mean, you're drifting. Every day you drift farther away from, and then you'll hear people that go, yeah, then all of a sudden my boss fired me and now I play guitar. It's like, great. That's good. I mean, it shouldn't, everyone has a different path, but like, you'll never have enough money in the bank account to go pursue your dream. Like, I was lucky enough that I got laid off, I got fired right before the right before the housing crisis, which is when no one could get hired after that. So I graduated in 2007, right when the whole, like, everything, it was bad. Like, old millennials, we got fucked on every turn since college. We really did. Between the different pandemics and the bubble and all, the housing bubble. And I was lucky enough that I didn't have some like high-paying job. So I was like, all right, I can go into acting and improv and stand up and do all these things and not really have anything else to lose. Right. But there is this shame when people go like, what do you do? And you gotta be like, well, do you want the short version, or like, what do you want me to say? And then people go like, well, what if it doesn't work out? And they start like throwing their own like doubt onto you, and it's just like disgusting. It's
disgusting, but I'd rather have a job. I look back at nannying, and I loved the family and I loved the kids, but I knew I didn't enjoy my days. It was like there was a little bit of every day waking up being like, oh, I don't like serving a child that isn't my own. Yeah. But I still had a spark of hope in me every day, because I was like, this means I get to go do something I love every night, and and like there's no dead end here. I'm so excited for the little opportunities I have in stand-up that, like, I kept growing a little bit more and more in my stand-up career, if you could call it a career then.
A good set with a new bit gets you through the next month of that bullshit.
of that bullshit. I can't imagine having a job, and I had the job when I first got out of college that I hated, and I didn't have anything else to live for. I couldn't imagine having a job that I hate and not having anything. I'd rather have a job that I hated, even though every night I got to go live out a dream, even if it was at an open mic for 7 people who were there to watch the game in the bar.
Yeah, people don't get it. Like, it's not a waste. Now, this is going to give I'm going to get 2 answers from this conversation from people. Very defensive people that are in the corporate culture, and they're happy, and it provides them health insurance and all the things that we're trained to think about, which is fine for some people if, like, that's what you want. And then there's the other set of people who are going to be like, it's so inspiring to hear these stories, because they're in positions where they feel doubt, where they feel like, is this all working out? And there's really nothing to say other than, like, time in the game, keep figuring it out. Right?
Yeah. I think time in the game, keep figuring it out, but being smart and conscious about figuring it out. Like, throw spaghetti at the wall, and then watch what spaghetti lands, and then learn how to get more spaghetti to land at the wall. Don't be the person that just keeps throwing spaghetti at the wall.
At the same wall, that's chaos, right?
Be
throwing it up.
Experimental, but then be smart about the experiment and dive more into it. Don't be the person, because I think there's 2 routes you can go. You can go like, well, I'm living my dream and I'm trying stuff out to figure it out. But then I think there's also the people that are scared of failing at their dream, and they're so scared of failing at their dream that they don't try hard enough so that the fail hurts less.
Yeah.
Does that also make sense?
Sure. Yeah,
so there's also the people that are just living out their dream, but they're going to open mics every night and not actually listening to what works or what's doing and getting better at it. They're just going like, I'm an artist, man, so I'm doing it. Fuck if it doesn't work. And I think there's a braveriness and a consciousness to, like, going after the harder thing, but also doing it in
it's like my wife says, it's like following the breadcrumbs. Like, you just can't possibly know where they're going to lead. The last question I wanted to ask you is, what was it like when you became, like, full-time? Was there a moment where you're like, can I afford to be full-time? Like, it's a leap of faith, right? What was that?
It's a leap of faith because all of a sudden you're getting booked on stuff and you're like, oh my God, this is so cool. The scary part is going full-time. You're in paradise. You're like, I'm literally doing everything I love doing. I'm on the road. I get to, like, work on an hour now. People are coming up to see me. It's amazing. Then you get the taste. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, what if this hour isn't good? What if I don't sell well? No one else wants to book me. Now you get the taste. You're scared of losing it. It's like being blind, getting vision, and then being afraid to go blind again. Yeah. So but also now, but when you do get that momentum to go full time, you're like probably doing like all your energy. You're no longer worrying about the nanny job. It's like all your energy is going into it. Yeah, and I think that fear does keep, or at least for me, the fear is my motivation to keep working harder and getting better. Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't want to go back.
I almost feel like in that way, fear is better than anxiety, because anxiety is crippling, because like you're like, but fear, like when you can strike a little fear, you're not earned anything. No. I say that with my podcast, like I do 11 episodes a week. I do it I do it twice a day. It's a full-time job.
Holy moly.
And I'm like, I can't mail it in, or I can a little bit, but I have to like give it, like they're not going to show up at a charity. They're here because I'm giving them something. Right. And that can be given to somebody else.
For sure.
Like it keeps you kind of like having to be trying to move forward and follow, whatever that path is, and who knows what it is. Well, look, I am so excited you came to talk to me today. Anything?
Thanks.
How can we best promote you? Not that you need it.
I'm on socials at It's Katherine Blanford, and then I have a special out on YouTube. I'm very proud of it. It's my first hour that I toured with. It's called Catholic Cowgirl.
Amazing.
It's free.
That's what I listen to on Spotify. So that's also on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Amazing.
There's some visual jokes that may make more sense.
Yep. We'll get into them. So go check that out. And thanks again for doing the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks.